I like to start these sessions with a little story, and it's a story about a fellow who goes to the doctor. And he says to the doc, gee, you know, I haven't had an exam for quite some time. I'd like you to check me out. And the doc says, sure. And he runs him through a battery of tests. And at the end of that, he brings him into his office. He says, you know, John, he says, you're in very, very good shape. He says, for a guy in his 60s, you really are in good shape. And a puzzled look appeared on the patient's face. And he said, who's thinking about being 60? I'm 75 years of age. The doctor said, that's amazing. You're in very, very good condition for a man 75 years of age. He said, do you mind if I ask you, how old was your dad when he passed? And again, a puzzled look appeared on the patient's face, and he said, who's thinking about Dad dying? Dad's 95 years of age, plays 3 rounds of golf every week, is in absolutely good shape, etc. And the doctor said, well, that is really amazing. That's probably where you get your longevity. He said, how about your grandfather? How old was he when he died? And again, a puzzled look appeared on the patient's face. He said, who's thinking about Grandpa dying? He said, well, you know, I just thought. He said, no, Grandpa's 115 years of age. And the doctor says, you've got to be kidding, 115 years. He's absolutely right. Not only that, he's getting married next week. And the doctor says, come on, give me a break. 115 years of age. What would make a man want to get married at that age? And again, a puzzled look appeared on the patient's face, and he said, who's anything about him wanting to get married? There's a point behind that story. And the point is, we have a tendency, all of us, just as the human species, to develop stereotypes and myths about what it's like to get older. And what happens is we then translate that into our everyday lives and how we market, how we sell, how we connect, how we talk to, how we provide experiences to people as they get older. You just get this sense. The problem is when you do that, it really does manifest itself in all the things you do, and it's almost insidious. You really don't know what's going on, but it is going on. So I'm going to try to walk you through, in the next couple of hours we have together, an understanding of what it's about. Not to make you gerontologists or geriatricians or brain scientists, because we're going to talk about the brain, how it works, and so on, but to just give you some insight so that you hopefully will pursue it on your own and try to avoid making the typical mistakes that many, many companies make when they're trying to connect with these markets. We're going to start with customer power, give you a sense of where it's all coming from, what's happened to make a major shift in how people do business today, and how customers have really taken on a lot of the power today. We'll talk about a rapidly aging customer base, who they are, talk about the so-called seniors. We'll try to get you when you leave today to never use that word again. We'll talk about boomers, what they're all about. And then we'll spend some time giving you a sense of what you need to do to lay a foundation to make the kinds of changes you may have to make in your business. And we'll talk about paradigms, because it really sets the tone for the remainder of the presentation. We'll spend some time shifting paradigms for you, giving you some really good insights into what it's like to connect with these folks and what you have to do and what's important and what isn't, the characteristics of these people. And then we'll talk about the brain, which I think you'll find interesting. And then I'll share with you some advertising. And I'm going to ask you your thoughts about it, what you think after listening to what I've had to say about these particular ads. And then we'll talk about how you really have to focus on women. They're the ones who make the decisions on just about everything that's purchased these days. Tom Peters, you're familiar with Tom Peters, said, they are the biggest economy in the world. So we have to have an understanding that how you connect with women is not the same as how you connect with men. Really black and white. Okay? And then we'll wrap it up with a summary and give you some ideas, some tips, some guidance on what you can do now, what you can do later, and then give you some ideas, some resources for you that you can go back and take a look at, some books we think are really good that will help you in that vein.